everyone, welcome aboard. Today we are headed to Phoenix, Arizona for a business trip. And normally I'm not too excited about business trips, but today we are renting a Tesla Model 3 from Hertz. This is going to be my first time renting a Tesla and driving a newer Model 3, considering that ours is a 2018 model. So I am curious to see how different the vehicles are. So if you're interested in that, come along. Alright, so we're here at John Wayne Airport. From what I understand, the parking structures have EV outlets for charging. So these are not level 2 chargers, not Tesla destination chargers. These are simply outlets that you can plug your mobile charger into. And I think that's actually really smart, because when you're parking your vehicle for an extended period of time, you don't need fast charging. I mean, for me, I'm going to be gone for at least 12 hours. And I'm more than fine just trickle charging during that time, because I have a reasonable amount of battery still, and all I need is just a top off. So this is going to be a nice experience. All right, so now that the car's plugged in, we're going to head to the terminal. See you in 12 hours. So just arrived at the Hertz lot. Looks like I got assigned a Model 3 with the standard 18-inch aero wheels. Let's see what kind of variant this is. It should be the standard range model, rear-wheel drive, but let's go make sure that's the case. It looks like it's a standard range Model 3. It's got 11,000 miles on it. Does not have FSD, but it does have regular autopilot as expected. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is adjust the controls to my specifications. To do the mirrors, you basically hit the mirror button, and then you can adjust the left and right mirrors, and you do that by using the scroll wheel here. Down you adjust the knob up and down, and if you want to go side to side, you also go side to side using the button. So let's adjust both of these mirrors. The next thing I'm going to check is pedals and steering. I like the acceleration in standard mode. If you're not a fan of the quick acceleration, you can also put in chill. For steering, I like it in sport mode. And for stopping mode, I would like it to completely stop at a red light without it creeping forward like a conventional car. This is kind of a preference. Some people that are still transitioning to an EV usually will want the creep or the roll mode, but since I've been driving a Tesla for 5 years now, I'm pretty well adjusted to the regenerative braking, so I'm going to keep it in hold. Let's show you what comes with the vehicle from Hertz. It comes with a key that's encased in this plastic sleeve, and this is a little different than if you actually own a Tesla, where you could use your phone as the key. You can't do that when you're renting a Tesla. You do have two charging bays, inductive charging bays for phones. You have this very cavernous center console here, and in terms of how you get from place to place, you just hit navigate and you just type in where you want to go. All right, so I just left the checkout point at Hertz, and they indicated that I can return this vehicle with 70% charge or higher for no fee. So I was curious about that, considering, you know, with a conventional rental car, you have to return the gas tank full. So it's interesting to note that they don't expect the Tesla to be returned with 100% battery, and that's good. But on this trip, we're going to be consuming a lot of the battery, considering how far I have to drive. So yeah, really excited to get this out on the road and see how different this is from my own Model 3. But first impressions, it feels a little bit more refined, I guess, compared to my 2018 Model 3. You know, and there's a lot of changes. You know, you got the modified center console compared to the 2018. The steering wheel feels a little different, just a little bit more premium. The stocks feel tighter. That could be a little subjective, just based on the fact that it's a newer vehicle, not necessarily design changes, but that's just my first impression. All right, so I also just reset the trip A on the vehicle. I want to see what my energy consumption is on this trip. Looks like
in 500 feet,
over the last 3,600 miles. Listen, over the last 3,600 miles, the average energy consumption has been 310 watt hours per mile, which is pretty high compared to my 2018 Tesla Model 3. So let's see how we do on this trip. Yeah, it definitely has the same Tesla pickup. Definitely not slow considering, you know, this is the standard range, non-performance, non-long range version. All right, so I'm on the highway. I have autopilot engaged, and autopilot is probably one of the main reasons why I would opt for a Tesla over any other vehicle on a business trip or any other travel. Having basic autopilot, not even FSD beta, just makes your trip so much easier, especially if you haven't experienced it. You should try it at least once. It's like having someone drive you to your destination. The car just centers you in the lane. It adjusts to the traffic in front of you. And I know other vehicles have similar technologies to this, but Tesla's is by far the most comprehensive and, to me, the safest. It just, you can do this. I've engaged autopilot for hours without disengaging it on the open highway. So definitely a luxury to have. You can focus on other things like your destination. It just takes the stress out of the drive, especially when you have a 100-mile drive ahead of you like I do. In order to engage autopilot, you basically just double tap the right stalk and the car will just automatically put you into autopilot. And if you want to disengage it, like you're about to exit the freeway or switch lanes, all you have to do is turn the steering wheel or press on the brake, and the car will automatically just come out of autopilot. You regain instant control instantly. So just keep that in mind. It's a pretty safe feature, something that you shouldn't be intimidated by. But one thing to note, this is mostly for highway use. I wouldn't use this on the side streets. FSD beta is more for the side streets, and most, if not all, Tesla rental cars wouldn't have FSD beta on it. Alright, so on my trip here in Arizona, I've driven about 70 miles and I've averaged 289 watt hours per mile, which is significantly higher than the 220 to 230 watt hours per mile that I've been averaging on my 2018 Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive. So I'm kind of interested as to why that is. One culprit that I see is the fact that these tires seem to be underinflated. So I'm going to correct that. I actually brought a portable tire inflator. And I know you're probably thinking, you know, why would I bring this on a business trip when it's not my own vehicle? I do want to test the efficiency and the effect of underinflated tires, which is a pretty common situation with rented cars. So on our way back to the airport this afternoon, I'm going to drive with properly inflated tires and see if that changes the energy consumption. Right, so while that tire is inflating, I just want to show you the trunk of the Model 3. This isn't all that interesting, although it's worth noting that Tesla does include charging cable as well as a J1772 adapter, so if you need to charge on a level 2 charger, you can do so. The Arizona clean air plates are pretty cool. Alright, while that tire inflates, I'm also noticing that I think every single rim on this rental Model 3 has been curbed, which goes along with what I would have expected, considering that so many people that I know with Teslas have curbed their rims multiple times. So just plugged into the Chandler, Arizona supercharger. They charge 31 cents per kilowatt hour, which by California standards is incredible. That's almost approaching what I pay at home on my electricity bill during off-peak hours. So yeah, it just goes to show you how much cheaper electricity is outside of California. What I find interesting about this charger too is it's 31 cents all throughout the day. There's no peak times. It doesn't get more expensive during any other part of the day. It's the same price no matter what. Whereas I think we found another supercharger just down the street or just down the highway that was substantially cheaper between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. but much higher during this time of the day, which is about almost 3 p.m. So again, if you are trying to figure out how to supercharge, you just click on the icon, the circle with the lightning bolt, and that will find all the superchargers in the area. And since this is a Hertz rental, all of the charging costs will go to Hertz, and then Hertz will then in turn bill you for the charging costs. And as you know, it's substantially cheaper in most cases than filling up a gas car for the equivalent mileage. So it's telling us that we have 30 minutes left. All right, so we're at 88%. I'm actually charging, I'm gonna end up charging 100%, mostly because I wanna see how the charging curve is. And there's a huge difference between my Model 3 and this LFP version of the Model 3. We are at 89% and we're still charging at, 220 miles per hour. Normally in our Model 3, there's a significant drop off in the charging speeds after 80%. This version of the Model 3 with the different batteries does not suffer from that fall off. And I can see why this is an enticing option for some people, even though it has a lower real range, but you are able to charge this battery all the way up to 100% without much charging speed loss. So in essence, the 80% charge of a longer range Model 3 and the 100% charge of this Model 3 are not that different. So if you want to save some money and still enjoy a reasonable range, this standard range Model 3 is a great option. All right, so I'm headed back to the airport to return this Tesla Model 3 back to Hertz. And overall, I thought this was a great experience. If I could choose my rental car and it be a Tesla every single time, I would take that every single trip if I could. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Not every airport has Teslas available. Sometimes they're astronomically priced compared to the other vehicles on the lot, but in this case, it was just as expensive as any of the other conventional cars on Hertz's lot. So it was a good change of pace. It makes me realize how much I really like the Tesla ecosystem and all of the conveniences that come along with Tesla ownership, and being able to extend that into a business trip. It's really nice. We're able to return this Model 3 back to back to Hertz with 70% charge. It says we're gonna get to the rental car center with 73% left. I hope that holds. It is about 110 degrees right now and the AC is going full blast. That's one thing I will say that's a negative. It seems like the Tesla Model 3 air conditioner in this vehicle can barely keep up with the heat. I'm sure that the glass roof doesn't help much, but it's probably the most taxed I've ever seen a Tesla air conditioning system. So yeah, it seems to be more challenged in ultra hot weather. So, but other than that, it seems great. I had one supercharge stop, and yeah, it was uneventful, and that's a good thing. So if you have the opportunity to rent a Tesla, whether you're a Tesla owner or you just want to try out how it's like to own a Tesla without actually owning one, renting for a day or a handful of days is a great way to get the experience. Hertz has a lot of them on the lot, at least here in Phoenix, and in Southern California there are also a lot of them available. So yeah, just keep that in mind for your next business trip or vacation. All right, so just got back from our business trip here at John Wayne Airport. Looks like we gained 71 miles in the span of about 12 hours. Pretty good for trickle charging. And this is all entirely free using our mobile connector and a strategically placed outlet in the EV charging area of one of the parking structures here at John Wayne. Really like the implementation of this. I think this works a lot better than a level 2 charger.